better already, ain't you? Alright, well, you know me, I'm just going to keep right on pushing on. So, you know, we've all had our lives changed. You've been here very long, just understanding what grace is. You know, that we've been qualified for all the things of God, not based on our performance, but just because of His love. And when we experience His love, see, it's His idea that if we experience Him, that's more of a motivator and a life changer than you and your effort. He knows that if you can just experience me and walk with me and talk with me, you'll start smelling like me, you'll start walking like me, you just start becoming like me. And so it's just life changing for me, because here's, you know, religion has tried to say, you need to, yeah, okay, here Jesus died on the cross, you can pray a prayer and get to heaven. And so you know, I'm glad of that. I'm not making light of that, but it's way more than praying a prayer and making it to heaven. It's life here and now. And so it's like religion has reduced it down to that, to where, okay, yeah, we're going to heaven, and just hang on till we get there, and you know, this be miserable and suffer along and all that. I think it's why we wrote so many songs about heaven. I don't know how we wrote songs about heaven. We ain't never been there. We don't know that much about it. But all our own religious songs, oh God, I can't wait to get to heaven. Well, it's because we've made life here so daggone miserable. And I don't believe that's God's intention. I believe He wants us to have life and have life more abundantly, and for us to look like the sons of God. See, we've had a servant mentality. We've had this servant mentality where we serve God and we're meek and lowly and humble and all this stuff. But God has made us sons. And it says in Genesis, when He created us, that we've been made in the likeness and the image of Him. And so I just, you got more going for you than you think you do. You're made like God. You're made like God. I mean, we ought to give ourselves a little more credit. And He's put us back in. This is what Jesus did. He's put us back in the process now that we're becoming like Him. You didn't just pray a prayer to go to heaven. You've entered into the process of getting ourselves, they sang the song, I've been redeemed. I've been put back in the place to where He originally put me, to where now I'm His son. He's my Father. And so now I'm in the process of becoming like Him and untraining the things that the world trained me. And now I'm getting my head on right. And so, you see what I mean? And even now, even we've been growing in grace, and we believe in a lot. We believe in healing. We believe in prosperity. We believe in the blessing that God doesn't want. You know, we're the sons of God. We're supposed to be ruling and taking this world over, right? He does not want us doing that, sick and broke. So, but here's the thing. Now that we've understood this and we've seen people healed and we've become receivers and all this is going on, if we're not careful, we start thinking, well, now we've turned it into a method and a you know, certain way of doing things. Before long, we've took the personal out of it. We've took the relationship out of it. Now I'm getting things from God, and I'm thinking about getting things from God and things from God and things from God. All the things are good, and God's love, and He wants us to have the things. But I don't want to just focus on the things so much that I get to the point where it's just about, well, I'm getting healing. We believe in healing, right? You say you can focus on getting healing, and then you're getting things and things and things. And for long I thought, you know what the process is? I'm becoming more like Him. And it becomes in sharing with Him and beholding Him and communing with Him and having a relationship with Him. And we're together every day now. Nothing ever will separate me. And so in having father-son relationship like that, I start becoming more like Him. And then I don't have to focus on things, you see. If I'm becoming more like Him, aren't I healed?
Yes.
If I'm becoming more like Him, aren't I successful and blessed?
Yes.
If I'm becoming more like Him, aren't I rich?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right, I'm just going to teach you something now. This is, you know, because this is part of it, how you get it. It says this in 2 Corinthians 5:7. You guys know this one. 2 Corinthians 5:7 says this. For we walk by faith, not by sight. We walk by faith, not by sight. 4:18 says this. while we look not at the things which are seen, we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Right? This is where I see most everybody hung up. This is where I see where most everybody, you start hearing the message, you start hearing faith is coming, but there comes a time where it has to become reality to us. It can't just be something you hear on Thursday night. You have to take it out those doors with you, and it becomes your life. See, there's a difference. You all, if you've gotten there, you know that there was a point in time where, yeah, you started hearing it. Yeah, you started believing it, and you'd agree in it. But somewhere along the line, it became who you are. And you said, it's mine, and I'm living in it. And you with me? If you're not there yet, don't fret, don't sweat. You're getting it, all right? You just got to hear it. Put another coat on the barn. Here we go. All right? So it's like, but there's a point where you come to. This is what hangs people up. I see the ones that never seem to quite get it. They never seem to quite take a hold of it. It's because they're hung up on the scene. They're hung up on the scene. And so here's what faith is. We walk by faith, not by sight. That means I'm going to believe God. I'm going to believe the truth. See, the truth is the truth. There's nothing more powerful than the truth. All right? Nothing more powerful than the truth. So now we're in this dilemma of what is truth? Because we've been trained. Romans 12 says this. Romans 12:1. I'll just paraphrase it pretty close. I urge you, brothers, present your body a living sacrifice, which is your reasonable service. All right? He said this in verse 2. Do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is the good, perfect, acceptable will of God. Right? In other words, here's what that means to me. It's what made this seen and unseen. Paul talks about seen and unseen a lot. There's a natural, physical realm that you can see and touch. There's also a spiritual realm that you can't see. That's where God, it's a spiritual. And so all that, but we've made more reality out of what we can see than what the truth actually is. See, this is the truth. Jesus said, I am the truth. See? Alright, so here's what we got to get to. We got to get to where our truth is now found in the Spirit, in the Word of God, more than it is in the natural and in what we see. See, it's what it said. Paul said, you're going to have to present your body a living sacrifice. It's alive, yes. You're still living in it, yes. But you might as well count it as dead. Don't be conformed to the world, because we grew up in the world. We grew up in this system that said you've got 5 senses. It's part of you, right? I'm not saying it's not there, but you touch, you smell, you feel, right? It's your senses. It's a sensual thing. So you're gathering information from that, right? It's the way we're born. You're teaching that boy there right now. He's learning to touch, and he's learning to feel, and oh, that's hot, or oh, that hurts, or that feels good, right? It's the way we were trained. It's the way we lived. It's the way we gather information. You're gathering information with your body in the natural realm of this world and what we see. See, you see things, you hear things, you touch things, you taste things. See, Paul's saying, don't be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It means now we're born again. We've got access to real truth. We've been gathering our information from the sense realm. But we're no longer living in that world. We've become new. I want you to start gathering your information from the truth now, so that you can prove what the good and perfect, acceptable will of God is. See, our minds were trained to gather information from the natural. That's where we gathered our truth. For the majority of even believers born again, we still gather our information from there. And we still count that as truth. Paul says, we're going to start gathering our truth from the unseen. Because the truth that's in the unseen is forever and eternal. This other stuff is temporary, and the devil has access to the natural. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You with me? Because it's going to take some... This is why I like the son mentality. It can't be servant mentality, because this stuff takes a little grit. Takes a little grit. Takes a little guts. Is that all right to say? You just can't be, oh, woe is me, religious, sit on the front row and sing Kumbaya. That ain't going to cut it. It's going to take somebody that knows that they're a son of God and knows that God loves them unconditional, and He's giving them something. See, it's what you know. No longer about what we see or what we even feel. What you know, Jesus said, the truth. You'll know the truth, and the truth will make you free. See, you can't go. It's what faith is. It's like, just like I tell you all the time. You hear me over and over and over talking about how righteous we are now, right? You're not righteous because you can prove it with your behavior. You're righteous by faith, which means it's because He said that and called you that and took your sin and gave you His righteousness. See, you don't have any evidence or proof of that, do you? Oh, some of you do, maybe. Yeah, no, you don't, do you? You can't even go a day, can you? You don't have evidence or proof that you're the righteousness of God. That's why it's by faith. Faith is believing what you can't prove. Believing what you don't have proof of. Believing what you don't have evidence for. We're walking by faith, not by what you can see and have physical proof of. This is why this is important. Because the devil wants you to keep on living in the natural realm because he has access to that. He can poke you and he can give tests and all this. And I'm not denying that that's a real place. Those are facts. You know, the facts can be you feel this. The facts can be this. The facts can say that. The facts can feel like this. You can feel like your body's sick. The doctors say this. Whatever. Those are facts. I'm not saying the facts aren't there. I'm saying truth overrides facts. See, the natural realm. Jesus come walking on the water. Right? Walking on the water. Now, in the natural, is that possible? Gravity, okay, man weighs whatever he weighed, water sink, okay, that's the natural. You're not supposed to be able to walk on water in the natural. Truth overrides the natural. Truth trumps facts. Jesus is true. Jesus walked on water, even though in the natural that's not supposed to happen. See, when we start gathering our truth from who He says we are and what He says we have over what it is that we see and what the natural says, that's when you start living in victory. That's when you start taking a hold of the things of God and you draw a line in the sand and say, devil, I don't care what you do or say or make me feel like. I know who the truth is. I know what the truth is, and I'm living in it and I'm taking a hold of it, and you can't stop what I know. Anybody here? See, this what I thought. You know, one of my favorite stories. If you've been here very long, David and Goliath. You know, here David is, little old runt, right? He wasn't even. They didn't even bring him to the battle. He wasn't even a soldier. And they get down there and they start telling all this stuff. They said he ain't big enough. He's not experienced enough. Hey, we know the naughtiness of your heart. What are you, a dog? Did you come? Your stuff's too big for you. All this stuff they kept telling him, right? David said that. They said this. Tell me again what the king said about the man. See, they said, hey, the man that kills the Goliath, the man that kills the giant, the king's going to make his house free. He's going to give him his daughter. Going to give him this, all this stuff. This is what the man looks like that's going to kill the giant, right? Then they say, oh, you're not big enough. You're not this. All these voices saying, you're not this. You're not that. David says, tell me again what the king said. This is what the king said, that the man that kills this giant is going to be free. You know what? This and this and this and this and this. Oh, you're not big enough. Oh, you're not able. You got this. You can't do this. Tell me again what the king says. Said it at least 3 times, I think. You can go back and read the story. It's awesome. In other words, I don't care what you guys say is out in the natural. Tell me again what the king said. Because when I hear that enough and that gets down in me and I can get a visual of that of what the truth really is, I'll start becoming the truth, and the truth trumps facts every time. A little old runt shepherd boy with a rag and a rock put down the threat of the whole nation. You tell me, I'm telling you, truth trumps facts every time. He said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Which in that day and time, the sign of the covenant was that you were circumcised. Sign of the covenant. If you were circumcised, you're in covenant with God. If you weren't, you're out. Gentiles, right? So everybody knows what circumcised is, right? Ask your mom. So David says this. Here are all these voices telling him in the natural why it's not possible. But he's rehearsing what the king said over and over. And he said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? He's saying, who is this brute that's not even in covenant with God? I'm in covenant with God. I know who I am. I've done been in the field with God. I got the giant, here come the bear, took one of my lambs, I grabbed him by the beard and cut his head off. Here come a lion, I cut his head off too. And the same God that's out there with me, I'm going to cut this giant's head off too. You know why? Because I'm in covenant with God and he's not. See, the truth overrides things in the natural. So whatever the natural says, I don't know. The natural says all kinds of things, different things to everybody. But I'm going to tell you what the truth says. I'm going to keep on week after week after week, keep telling you what it is the King said about you. The King says you're healed. The King says you're made in the likeness and image of Him. The King says that you're blessed and that you're successful, that you're the head, not the tail, that you can do it. You can make it. I'm just telling you, we've got to get circumstances out of our mind. We're not living any longer by what we see. We're living by faith. Faith is believing what He says, believing who He is, regardless of what it looks like. Regardless of what it feels like. And then you've been hearing me the last several weeks. Then when you know that and you believe that, and you start understanding that, you know how much power you have and what it is. Here's the secret right here. You're a man. You're mankind. You're mankind. You're the only being with a foot in both camps. Your spirit and your physical. You're the only being with a foot in both camps. And here's the door. Right here. Jesus said, the words that I speak are spirit. The words that I speak are spirit. And the devil keeps on flaring up circumstances and flaring up feelings and flaring up tests and flaring up facts so that you'll keep your eyes on facts and you'll proclaim facts and you'll speak facts and the devil can just keep operating facts. But when you rise up in what you know and who you are and you say, I don't care what this says, I don't care what the facts say, I don't care what this feels like, I don't even care what my own body says. I know the truth. I'm going to say the truth, and that looses the power of God to perform the truth. I don't know how to make it any simpler than that. Is that simple enough? Now you guys better go sing. I can't do any better than that. We just here's what we got to do. We got to ask God to perform it in us. Because we can't make a work out of it. We can't get religious about it. You just got to see that it's there and we want it, and you're just going to have to do it in us. Can that be our prayer? God, you're going to have to show us. You're going to have to teach us. You're going to have to do something in me, because me and of myself, I can't do that. I can't. You with me? Well, so I just want Him to start changing my mind. See, don't be conformed to the world. Be transformed. Anybody want to be transformed? I mean, that means you're not going to stay the same as you were. Transforming, I'm no longer staying the same as I was. That's my problem with religion. You go to church and you can be religious, and 10 years down the line, I see these guys all the time, they want to argue with me about what we believe and all that. 10 years down the road, they've been to church 3 times a week. 10 years down the road, they haven't grown one bit. They don't know anything more about God than they did know. They haven't changed. They haven't been through transformation. Nothing has changed. You're in a transformation, becoming more like Him. And if you're like Him, that means you're going to start walking in the Spirit by faith, being transformed by the truth of His Word and His power. I'm telling you, it's a life like no other. It's fun. It's awesome. You won't want to go back. It's God, He enjoys this. He wants to see us grow. He's having the time of my life. Anybody want some of it? Here's the thing. You just gonna have to say, you know what? Here's the downside to it all. You're gonna have to come to a place in your own life, in your own heart, where you draw a line in the sand, saying, I'm not playing both parties anymore. I'm telling you, you got to sell out to it. If you want to go, you're going to have to sell out to it. That may be not so popular preaching, but I'm telling you, if you want to go further and you want to go and you want to get to where I'm talking about getting, you're going to have to sell out to it. Sorry. It's the way it is. I'm going to live my life in the truth and in the spirit of faith, and I'm going to ignore what the devil can try to flare up to me in circumstances and facts. You are not who your circumstances say you are. You are who God says you are. You have what God says you have, and everything else is a lie. So, here's what we do. Here's our prayer tonight. God, you're going to have to show us that. You're going to have to do that in us. Everybody all right with that? If you want some of it, say, I do.
I do.
All right, you've heard it. Love y'all.
I'm not a preacher, but I'm going to take some sense, spark something I thought of today. I want to be the 11th virgin. There were 5 wise ones. They took their oil, they took their lamps, and they took extra oil. There were 5 foolish ones that just had their lamps full. I want to be the 11th virgin. I want to have my lamp, I want to have my extra, I want to have enough to give away. This is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I am what it says I am. I do what it says I do. This is my Bible. It has given me new life. It is the word of God. This is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I am what it says I am. I do what it says I do. This is my Bible. It has given me new life. It is the word of God. When the lost and gone astray, it helps me find my way. If I go that I will see, the devil has to pay. Oh, this is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I am what it says I am. I do what it says I do. This is my Bible.